Yes, I am the American woman that scams the government. Yes, I have been on government assistance for a little over 13 years. I receive 4,000 in food stamps, 2,000 in cash benefits, which is cash given to me every month, Section 8 and disability, as well as all my kids are on disability. I refuse to work. I won't ever work. And everybody hating on me and asking, why don't you get a job? Or why don't you just go work? Because I don't have to. And I don't want to. It's not that I necessarily can't, it's that I refuse to. Women should not have to work, period. 1,000 years ago, we weren't allowed to work, and it should still be that way. Okay? You, as a man, should be getting up every morning, making your lunch, making your coffee, serving your wife in bed, and going to work like you should. And she stays home and takes care of the children. Well, when you are a single mother, let's say, and there is no man doing that, you have to live off the government. And you might have to do it for the rest of your life. There is no time limit. So, if anyone has any other questions, I do go live daily. I'd like to do Q&A. Haters are welcome. You are more than welcome. I don't mute or block unless you bring my kids into it. That's the only way I will mute or block you. So I love you all, even my haters.
I wanted to play this clip before we get into the article, just so we could lay the foundation and have an example of people who like to abuse the system. You heard her say in the video that she chooses not to work. It's not because she can't, but because the system allows her not to work because she gets to receive reduced housing. She gets EBT cash. She gets $4,000 in food stamps a month, and this is a mother of six. Essentially, what she's saying is the system doesn't hold her responsible for her poor decision making. With that being said, let's switch over to the article. We have a bill here that's being a piece of legislation that's being proposed that will prevent landlords from evicting low income and pregnant Oregonians who fail to pay rent. Now, what we just seen in the previous clip, having some type of legislation like this being proposed is absolutely a disaster because you're going to have people who look at this bill or look at this piece of legislation if it was to pass, which I don't think it would hopefully, but if it did, you would have people who would abuse the system and intentionally have children. Understand this, people would intentionally have children so they would not be responsible for paying rent. You would not be able to evict them as a landlord in Oregon. If this was to pass, you would not be able to evict a pregnant woman or a woman with a child under the age of 1 years old. Let's get into the article. Again, I just want to touch on a few things. It says a bill that will prevent landlords from evicting many low income and pregnant Oregonians and offer rental assistance through the first year of their baby's life is up for consideration in the Oregon legislature. The bill also would also offer a year of rental assistance to expected residents or new parents at risk of becoming homeless. So they want to put the responsibility on the taxpayer instead of the mother and father who laid down and had this child. This is why these Section 8 programs, these government assistance programs are so dangerous. Again, it encourages people to essentially be lazy and mooch off of the hard work of other people. Instead of them proposing a bill and law for, let's just say, a middle class family, and you lost your job unexpectedly to no error of your own, the company shuts down for whatever reason, right? We know that you get unemployment, but we know unemployment is most of the times not enough to cover all of your bills. Why not propose a bill that would prevent a hardworking man or woman from getting evicted for at least a year, year and a half, to give them time to try to stabilize themselves, find another job, or get some more skills and training. But no, they rather propose nonsense like this. It says many of Senate Bill 690 details have yet to be worked out, including the number of people who would benefit and who precisely would be obliged to foot the bill. Democratic Senator Lisa Reynolds, a pediatrician and chief backer of the bill, asked rental property owners to be patient as she worked with government agencies to work out funding streams. So essentially, Ms. Reynolds is looking for the taxpayer, because this is ultimately who's going to be responsible for footing the bill for these women who chose to get pregnant, right? We're not asking where the father is. We're not asking for the father's support. We're asking on hardworking Americans to foot the bill for these reckless decisions. I mean, this is absolutely crazy work that something like this would even be proposed. Let's continue. Landlords, you will be made whole with back pay, Reynolds said during a Senate Rules Committee hearing last week. We're going to ask you not to evict the pregnant people and babies that fall into this category. The bill will prevent more pregnant people and new parents. Oh, the bill would move pregnant people and new parents to the front of the line for federal money meant for struggling Oregonians. It would also allocate 20 million of state general fund money over the next 2 years for rental assistance and supportive services. In order to qualify, soon-to-be parents or parents of infants would need to be eligible for receiving services funded by the Oregon Health Plan and Medicaid. They also need to inform the owner of their rental property of the situation. Reynolds, who lives in the Oak Hills area, pointed to distressing rates of unsheltered homelessness among families with children. He said money spent on intervening in the lives of low income children has the biggest impact the younger they are. It's obvious time to do something very different, Reynolds said. We just think it's really important to keep babies housed. So instead of attacking the root of the problem, which is unplanned pregnancies, um, people getting married, people not getting married, just having babies out of wedlock, they believe that Ms. Reynolds believes the solution is to give a handout to people who have made poor decisions and have been irresponsible with their bodies. Again, no tax benefits or monies being allotted to middle class, hardworking families. Um, no funds if you lose your job at the factory or at the steel mill or wherever you work at. No money for you, or no legislation being put in place for you not to be evicted from your house with your children for a year. This is literally targeted for low income people who have probably time and time again made poor decisions and they're being bailed out. I would hate to be a landlord in Oregon with legislation like this being passed. I mean, you're going to have to hope and pray that you get some type of back pay, because obviously, once if this was to go into law, people are going to manipulate and finesse and abuse the system. But let me know in the comments below how you feel about this proposed law that would prevent landlords from evicting low income and pregnant women or women with children under the age of 1. Let me know how you feel about this in the comments below. Again, I will leave the link in the description for this article so you can read it in its entirety for yourself. Don't forget to like, subscribe, and share.